Welcome everyone to Lockpicking Central. I'm JD, and today we are going to do something a little bit different, and that is showing you how to open up a lock and replace your pins. This is a Kwikset deadbolt lock. It's the same kind of lock that would be in any kind of deadbolt or the handle lock. All this is a basic pin tumbler lock. So you will need your lock. Absolutely will need your key, because this needs to be in the keyway and turned for the core to come out. You need some kind of tweezers. I recommend sparrows, obviously. Regular tweezers will work, but if you can't already tell, this thing has a little divot or an indent that shows you how much better these are than regular tweezers if they made a specialty pair of tweezers for this. These are pinning tweezers, and it has a little bit of a gap there, so that way you can pick up your pins. That tweezers aren't necessary. This is a C-clip removal tool, not 100% necessary, but helps a lot, makes it a lot easier. And 100% necessary is a follower. You need this to follow the core coming out so that your key pins stay in the core and your driver pins stay in the lock until you're ready to take them out. And pinning mats aren't 100% necessary, but these are really nice. They stick to the table pretty well. I mean, I'm moving the whole table here. Oh, about to fall, about to fly away. So it helps you put your pins in different areas so you can know where they go, your springs and everything else that go in there. It helps a lot. I recommend getting them. They're only like 10 bucks, something like that. But before we get into opening up this lock, I did want to say that the master switch tool vid, the challenge that I had for you, the master switch challenge with these guys, if you have watched my previous vids, this is still going on. Make sure you go to my Facebook. I'll leave a link in the description, but it's facebook.com/lockpickingcentral. I'll definitely leave a link there for you guys. This is still going on. The first person that successfully opens up a master lock number 3 with this and posts it to my Facebook channel will get a gift. You know, watch that video if you want to see what the gift is, and I have a bunch of links in that video that show you how to do it and all that stuff. So definitely watch that, and without further ado, let's get on with the video. Boop. All right, so first things first, we are going to hold this here. It shouldn't fall out, but just in case it does, we're going to hold the core in the lock, and we're going to pick up our C-clip removal tool and slide it on here with the C-clip. Let's see if we can get a better view there. So let me just push it off. And there you go. Now it comes off. Now I like to use this. It works pretty well to pull it the rest of the way off. I'm just going to slide that there. And then what we need to do is flip this back over, put the key in the keyway. This is something that can be done. It's not that hard. I mean, you can see there's not that anything really. This isn't necessary. All you really need is this and this. So 2 tools and your lock, and then whatever pins you want to do. So this is something that can absolutely be done at home. It's not that hard. Putting it back together can be a pain. It's really not that hard. It's a little bit time consuming. I won't be showing you how to put it back together. I might show you how to put a pin back in there and have it follow and everything, but it takes more time to put it back together than it does to take it apart. Okay, so mine works best if this is completely upside down. Every keyway is different. I would just suggest this is up for me. Just at least turn it a quarter turn either way, but mine works best when it's upside down because my key pins are in the bottom here, so when this is coming out I don't lose my key pins. I will still put a finger on the key pins so they don't fall out, but yeah. So let's go ahead and put this follow in there. So as you can see, this follower has an opening there. You don't want to have it open towards where your pins are, because otherwise it'll just go bing, 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 pew, pew, pew. So we want to have this flat against the pins. So now that these key pins are up top, that means that the driver pins are on the bottom here. So we're going to follow the core here, just push it through. As this is going through, this is going to, oops, we need to spin it around. So there's my key pins are actually on the bottom now instead of on top, because the driver pins are on top, now the key pins are on bottom. So now I don't have to hold the pins. I will still put a thumb there just to hold the lock. So this follower is following the core here so that the driver pins don't go flying everywhere. Okay, so now that that's done, we're going to put that aside. take the key out. So as you can see the pins moving there. That's basically what happens when you put a key in there. The pins move. So we can take these pins out of here. Let's go ahead and take out the last one, and we're going to put it in the first slot here. There we go. That's pin number 1. It's just a regular standard pin. You could change these as well, but then you have to change up your key. I would just recommend changing the driver pins to security pins, and that's really your best option. It makes it a lot harder to pick these. All right, number 2. And as you can tell, this is a little bit shorter here. So you would definitely want to make sure that they stay in the right spot. Otherwise, this key will not work to open your door. But you have, like I said, you have a pinning tray. It works pretty good. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6. If you need more, you could always put them in here or just move down a row. It's up to you. So as you can see, we have 2 of them out here. Let's pick out that third one. Sometimes they can be a little bit difficult to come out, especially if they are in a new lock or well oiled. So let's see if we can't get that out of there. Let's actually get the pick real quick. I have the perfect pick for this. It's a little stabby. This guy. So just gonna shove that up in there. Or actually, you know what? Let's shove it up in here. That should work pretty well. There we go. So that's number 3. Oops. That is why you don't do it that way. And that's number 4. And there's number 5. So as you can tell, this is a 5-pin core, and here is the key pins. Now, Kwikset makes it kind of, I guess you could say dummy proof, because these key pins are double-sided and they are identical on both sides of the pin, so you actually can't mess it up when you're taking it out. That's the key pins. The driver pins are exactly the same on this one. Not the same with every kind of lock, but Kwikset makes it so that the consumer can easily do this themselves. It's very hard to mess it up. You don't even have to take the key pins out at all if you're not changing your key. If you want to just put in some security pins, you just keep your key pins in there and get on to this next part. Okay, so here's what we're going to do now. We're going to hold the core, or well, that's the core. We're going to hold the housing here and slowly pull this resin follower out. So I'm going to push it in. It's easier for me instead of just pulling it out. I like to push it in just until I can start to see the key pins here. Oh, and there we go. So there is this is going to be the opposite. So we're going to put this here. So this, you can tell, this is a standard key pin, and we're going to take the spring out as well, if he wants to cooperate. There we go. So we're going to take our pin out as well. So that's just a standard pin. And we have a spool pin in number 2. So you don't have to take your springs out. If they don't want to come out, you don't have to. It's not necessary. I just want to take them out so we can show you. Okay. This bad boy don't want to come out. Okay, so we'll leave him there. We'll get him in the end. So next is a standard pin in the number 3 slot. You gotta make sure which way you're going in your keyway to put them back in the same. For the key pins. Now these can go any way. They can go in any direction. You can put a standard pin in every one. You can put a spool in every one. As you can tell, these are identical on both sides as well. They are just completely flat. The same thing with this spool pin. And later on, I will be showing you guys, hey, get out of there. I will be showing you guys how to single pin pick this, as this is security pins. We'll do that in a later video. But I have gone over in my previous videos the difference between standard pins, spool pins, serrated pins, and all that good stuff. So let's move on to the next pin here. Yep, there we go. And it's another standard pin in number 4. So far, only one security pin. And of course, he's stuck on there. Alright, now we have the last one here. And then he popped out the back. But that's okay. So, there we go. Another spool pin. I thought I felt another spool pin in there when I was picking it. And there we have it. So that is how you take it apart. So what you want to do if you want to add more security is I personally would just leave the first pin as a standard pin, because they are usually harder to drill through as they're solid, as opposed to something like this. As you can tell, it is hollowed out in the middle there. That's a spool pin versus the standard pin here, which is solid all the way through, as you can tell. So I would leave one if it was me. I put a spool or serrated there, and the rest of them spool or serrated. So for this, I would keep this one, change this one to a serrated pin, change this one to a serrated pin, and there you go. You beefed up your security pretty easily, only changing 2 pins, since we already have these 2 spools, changing out these 2 standards for a serrated pin. So you have a little bit more difficult for somebody to pick it. And you could even do the same thing with these key pins here, but you'd end up, if you don't have the exact same length for each and every one of these, you end up having to change your key. So the key pins are a little more difficult, whereas these, for the, at least for the Kwikset, they're all identical size. And yeah, so let's go ahead and show you how you would put this back together. I'm only going to do one on camera because, as I said, it takes a little bit of practice. I can do it, but it's going to be really hard for you guys to see what I'm doing here. But let's just basically show you what you would do. So you put all your key pins back in here. I'm not going to do that. Whatever. Let's just do that real quick. So we're going to put all of our key pins back in here. Slide him back down in there. So let's just take this out to make it easier for me. Okay, so you put all your key pins back in there. Okay, there we go. So now they're all perfectly flat. You put all your key pins back in there, and I like to keep mine upside down, like I said, because the pins are on the bottom and these pins are on top, so they don't interfere. And then realistically, you wouldn't do it this way. You wouldn't do it backwards. You would do it forwards like this. So people would think, oh, let's do what you do with the follower, just go backwards. You can't. You have to go forwards with it. So you'd end up with this at the very end, like so, and just sitting there waiting. So you put your spring in. Let's just start with here. I'm not going to actually do it. So there's little holes in here. I'm not sure if you can tell, but there's little holes in there. You put your spring in there, like so, and then you put your pin in there. So basically you have your core right up next to where your slot is. You just move it away ever so slightly, put your pin in there, push the core up against the pin there, so you can see the pin is sticking up. I'm not holding it because it's very hard to push down and push this core at the same time. So then next you're going to push this pin down until it goes all the way down like that, and then slide the core in. You're going to do that with each and every single one until bing bang boom, you're done and your lock's back together. So I really do hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to post them down below. Leave a like on the video, smash that subscribe button, and as always, have an awesome day, and I'll catch you in the next video.
Watch me flip that.